think that's what separates champions from contenders and everybody else. And I believe I have a champion state of mind.
I know you double up as an analyst too. I gotta ask you, what do you think about Ronda Rousey getting beaten 48 seconds, and what was your whole take on that?
She's one heck of an athlete. I'm sure she'll bounce back, but I think when fighters lose, they have to go back and change certain things to become a better fighter in the future. I think maybe her boxing skills and her stand-up game maybe needs to improve a little bit more, but I'm sure she will. She's a phenomenal athlete, and I can't wait to see what the future has in store. But this is the fighting game. Anything can happen, as we know. So, the fact that I am a 9 or 8-1 underdog, I'm just like, this is boxing. You guys never know what's going to happen. You can't count a guy who has an 85 plus maybe knockout ratio and such a stellar background and record. You can't count a guy like that out. And just knowing all that I've been through, man, it's just, I'm excited that this is happening, but at the same time, this is going to be one of those great stories that they're going to be talking about, 15, 20 years from now.
Danny, you mentioned all that you've been through. Cancer, you're well composed on camera as an analyst and everything. America's looking for a new superstar in boxing. Floyd Mayweather's retired. The public's kind of reluctant to embrace Andre Ward as that figure. With a win or even a solid performance in this fight, do you think you instantly become that figure?
I don't really know too much about, what America needs as far as what they're looking for. I just know that I can only be me, and I'm a gentleman. I make sure I carry myself accordingly because I have a 8-year-old son who's looking on, so I give the world who I am. And if they embrace that, I'm fortunate for it, I'm happy for it. But at the same time, I live. My grandmother always told me when I was growing up, when you outside in the world, you're not just representing you, but you're representing your family as well. So make sure you're out there acting right.
That's right.
So that's what I always live by, and I just try my best to be the best person I could be. And if America grabs onto it, I'm fortunate for that.
Daniel, you've emphasized the mental part of the game. I heard you talk about getting your mental game right yesterday.
Yes, ma'am.
And again today, you've mentioned the mental game. How does a boxer go about prepping their mental game? What's the mental workout like?
Mental workout. It consists of so many different things, but fortunate enough for me, through my challenges outside of the ring, me battling cancer and being told I could never box again from the doctors, having to learn how to walk again, and through that mental battle when I had my back against the wall was that physical mental growth that I had for those 2 years that I was outside of boxing. And I think that kind of crossed over and allowed me to really be focused and have that mental strength against any opponent, because if you face cancer and you go through all the things and trials and tribulations that I did outside the ring, you don't fear any man, you don't fear any great challenge, because the greatest challenge is already won.
How do you call upon that now then in the heat of the moment on March 18th?
Well, you just have to understand that when you're back against the wall, you're going to perform and you're going to soar, you're going to excel. And I know from past experience that when my back went against the wall, when no one believed in me, when no one said I can do this, even the doctors, this wasn't supposed to, you guys right now, this is not supposed to be happening, had I believed the doctor. So if I let the fans or let the press and everyone else say, you're not going to win this fight, it's the same situation. I'm a man, mentally, I cannot be defeated. Now, if the better man wins, now, God forbid, right? We're going to say God forbid because I believe 100% we're going to win the fight. But God forbid, if he wins, then, it won't because I'll be defeated mentally beforehand.
How about you're fighting for 4 belts? What does it feel like knowing all you've been through and now you're fighting for 4 belts in one fight?
For me, I just really feel like, the creator is really sculpting this amazing story in me. He's allowing me to have these great opportunities. And ever since I've been back, I've just been getting better and better and having greater opportunities. And this is the ultimate opportunity. And I really feel like if I can grab this victory, man, it just would be the perfect ending to the amazing story that I was able to have.
Usually when we hear the announcement of Triple G's opponents, there's a lot of critique, but instead the critique for you has been more the duration that it took to make the fight and not actually the fighter. So do you echo the public's opinion that you are as tough as Test today, since you are a true middleweight?
I will believe, and I think he's quoted before and said that this is definitely his toughest test to date. But it's all on paper, you know. You never know what happens in the middle of the ring once the bell actually rings. But I've tried my best not to get into all that things. I just wanted to make sure that the business side, the business aspect was right before we stepped in the ring, because we risk our lives in this square ring for people's entertainment. We want to make sure that the people we're fighting for, you know, we get compensated accordingly. And that's really what it is, because before this fight actually got mandated, I called Triple G out and I said I wanted to fight him right after my last fight, and then weeks later it got mandated. So we always knew that this position and this opportunity would present itself, but we just wanted to make sure that everything else was right.
Speaking back on the business aspect of it, you know, there was a big period that you were out of the ring. What was happening on the business side for you that kept you out of the ring during that time between your last fight and this fight?
Well, boxing is a funny business, as you may know. You know, sometimes athletes and fighters are really not in control of the things that happens outside of the ring. That's why you have a team, and I'm so grateful for, you know, my team, Al Heyman and Keith Connolly and everyone who spoke in behalf of me to make sure that I was 100% happy with the terms before stepping into this ring. Because when you go into that ring, especially with a tough fight like this, you want to make sure that everything is right, you know, and that's any fight. You want to make sure you're compensated accordingly. You want to make sure that it fits you, so you can have a mental state, a great mental state in camp and inside that square ring.
A lot of people have told me that they thought he got exposed in the Kell Brook fight. Do you agree? And what did you see in that performance that he had, which a lot of people weren't too impressed with?
I don't just think it was the Kell Brook fight. I mean, yeah, Kell did a lot of things. He was able to hit him and show us a lot of things that, you know, he does wrong. But in saying that, I've studied Gennady for some years now, about 2.5 years, because anytime you have a guy you're in the same weight class, you know, they're on your radar, you start to study them. So I've seen a habit of certain different flaws that we're going to work on. And I think the key to this fight is just making sure that I'm the best me and use my best attributes and minimize his.
How long has this fight been on your mind, and did you already know the showdown was coming and it was nearing?
I mean, I think within the last year, especially after the Peter Quillen fight that I had, I definitely knew that it was going to be looming soon. I didn't know how long it would take. We tried to get a fight with BJ Saunders. Yeah. He wasn't having it whatsoever.
He's not trying to fight anybody,
no,
it seems.
Yeah, he definitely wasn't with it. So we had to move on, and that's when we had the second Sergio Mora fight. But we just wanted to step up each and every time, you know. But I'm happy that the fact that we still didn't even get this fight, we're still able to get this massive fight, because it is a really big fight, and it's the best fight that could be made at middleweight.
Instead of looking at his performances to kind of disclose your strategy of how you're going to approach the fight, what do you feel like was Golovkin's best performance? You appear to be a student of the game, so which do you think was his best performance instead of his worst?
And don't get me wrong, I like watching Gennady. I'm a fan of the sport of boxing, so I like to watch people, and I like to see knockouts, and I like to see skills, and you know, I'm just a fan of that. I don't just watch guys outside of my weight. I watch guys in my division as well. I don't know which was his best performance, but he has some really good performances out there. I mean, he's a devastating puncher, and you know, who doesn't like knockouts at the end of the day? So, but like I just said before, you know, I tune all of that stuff out, and I know what I bring to the table, and I just have to focus and, you know, do what I have to do in that square ring.
What are your thoughts on Triple G actually being very complimentary about you? He says that you're probably more likely his best opponent to date, and he's just so complimentary of you.
It's just respect. I think he's a very respectful guy. There's nothing bad to say about him as a man. And the fact that he shows that respect as far as giving me the credit just due, which the public really isn't, I think it speaks volumes. But, you know, I don't really let that faze me in a sense, because he still have a job to do and I still have a job to do, and that's to physically, mentally get prepared for March 18th.
Daniel, how do you visualize this fight, the outcome of it?
Me having my hand raised, however that comes, you never know. This is a sport of boxing. Anything can happen, but I do see myself being victorious.
What do you think about his chin?
We don't know. We have no idea how his chin can really hold up to a really true middleweight power puncher. Only time will tell. Anything can happen in the sport of boxing.
Are there still questions on him? That is he like legit? Do you think you're gonna answer those questions, or do you think some people still aren't sold on him completely? Will you be the guy that kind of gives them that validation or not?
I think a lot of questions will be answered. as far as myself as well, and Triple G inside that fight. That's why this is such a big fight, because there's a lot of questions still to be answered about myself and Triple G. You know, his level of opposition, people can criticize. Me coming back from cancer, I haven't fought the best tough opponents, so I could be criticized. And I think this will put an end to everything, and this will really dictate who's the true middleweight in the division.
Can you touch on Billy Joe Saunders and your negotiations with him, and why he's so unwilling to, why he's so unwilling to fight you, or maybe on any major fighter inside the fight?
I have no idea. When we first was in negotiations, or what I thought were negotiations, you know, I allowed my team to do their job, and from what I heard, the response from the other side wasn't really as good, and the probability of the fight happening wasn't good either. So we just kind of moved on. It did take a while because we really thought it was going to happen, especially after he beat Andy Lee. We was in prep to fight him, and we were ready, but for some reason it just didn't happen. So I don't know if it was maybe I wasn't the biggest fight out there, or maybe he was looking for bigger fights, or maybe easier. I can't really speak on behalf of what he was thinking or what his team was thinking, but at the end of the day, it didn't happen, so I had to move on. He's hurting himself, and it's hurting the sport as well, but I just think that, you know, in today's day, you know, a lot of people, they want to get compensated too, but they want to fight lesser opponents. They don't want to fight the best, you know, and I think that's why I'm being respected so much, because the fact that I couldn't get that fight, I stepped up to the biggest fight that there was. And I am getting compensated very fairly, but in still saying that, you know, I understand these guys, but it's still, it's hurting the sport. Yeah.
Danny, your thoughts? You know, as soon as Triple G gets an opponent, everybody tries to find whatever they can find to like downgrade that opponent and everything. You know, so you know where this is going. Everybody's going to bring up the Kirov fight.
Yeah. What
is different from Danny Jacobs that fought Kirov to now?
Okay, so how old are you now, if you don't mind me asking?
33.
33. When you were 23, were you the same person?
No, I was not.
Have you matured since?
Yes, I have.
Mentally, physically, and everything across the border?
Yes.
My point exactly. Fighters, they evolve. Fighters get better. Fighters' mental strength gets better. They physical. They can train. And like I've said, I've been a student of the game for the last 2 years that I've been outside of the sport of boxing. And ever since my loss, I have knocked out every opponent I have stepped in the ring with. So if that don't speak volumes, I don't know what will. But I'm definitely not the same fighter that I was when I was like a 22, 23-year-old kid. I'll be 30 February 3rd, so you know, you'll see a much different, and I'm in my prime now. I have that man strength now, and you know, most importantly, I don't fear any man, you know.
Speak a little bit. This will be the first fight where you'll be working with Virgil Hunter. Can you discuss with us what you feel that he will bring to your fight game, and some early conversations that you can disclose about how your working relationship and what you feel that will benefit?
What do you mean as far as working with Virgil?
Well, how will him bringing him into your camp benefit your fight game?
Well, Virgil is opening his gym to us. You know, New York City is very cold right now, and you know, we want to have a really great camp. We want to be isolated, and we want to rub shoulders with good energy. Virgil is great friends with my trainer. I've known Virgil and have respect for him for a very long time, but him and my trainer go way back. So when they got the call when we were looking for different gyms, and they said, come on down, you know, we'll open our gym to you, and any assistance that we can be, we'll be. So I'm looking forward to just being around that great energy. Andre Ward is a tremendous champion. He's someone who I respect and have admiration for. So just to get, you know, that great energy from those guys, Andre Berto, Amir Khan, I mean, it just would be a great environment. I'm bringing Chris Algieri on, a former world champion, as my nutritionist as well. So, you know, our team is going to be put together very well, and I'm just glad that, you know, the next couple of weeks will be, you know, the best, probably the best camp I've ever had in my career.
Daniel, he likes to test himself, his chin against other fighters, like letting other fighters hit him. You think that's going to be a mistake if he does that with you?
Do you really think he let fighters hit him?
That's what he says.
What's up, man?
I'm good, how are you doing?
Does he really let
That's what he
fighters? Okay, well, I mean, if he's down for letting me hit him, then I'm all for, you know, giving him my best shot. But I don't know if that's what he'll do. You know, I think are we starting soon? Okay. You gotta give your question.
Put your hand on the mic, please.
But no, we don't know. I just think
No.
he doesn't really allow fighters to hit him, and if he does, you know that the danger is probably low. You know, whereas you let a guy like his last opponent, and I don't want to call out guys as far as who he hit him. I don't want to minimize guys or discredit anybody. But at the end of the day, when you have a big puncher, he didn't let Curtis Evans hit him, and I think he knows who he can do it with. So I'll leave it at that.
Danny, a lot of people are scared of him. He has the Mike Tyson effect. You're not scared of anybody, anything. Tell me about that. The fear that people have of him and how come it doesn't faze you.
I mean, I think a lot of people, and I've mentioned this before, are really beaten before they actually step into the ring. When you think about his power, when you think about what he brings on to the table, it puts fear in people's heart. I come from Brownsville, Brooklyn, brother. I'm a different type of animal. I don't let those things put fear in my heart or get me nervous or change my approach to the game. Gennady Golovkin is respected in the sense that he's a fighter. But March 18th, there would be no respect. There would be no, being defeated before I step into the ring. I want to be in the heat of it. I want my back against the wall. I want to be able to show the world that I'm the best. And what better way to do that against one who they already consider to be the
He's
best?
considered pound for pound king. If you beat him, does that mean that
Is he really considered? I thought Chocolito was.
Well, he's up there.
He's up there. He's definitely up there. You can't take that away from him. But if I beat him, what's your question? If I beat him, what?
Pound for pound king?
I don't know. That's up for the fans to decide. I mean, I'm just, I'm 2-3 years back into, coming back from cancer. So, I still have a lot of proving to the game, and I'm looking forward to proving myself against Gennady Golovkin because, in some people's opinion, he is the best. So we'll see what happens from there.
And lastly, what is Daniel Jacobs, the announcer, like about this fight?
I'm a boxing fan, first and foremost. I love the sport of boxing. I love the fact that you have two fighters that are in their prime step up and fight each other. And the fact that it's going to be in the mecca of boxing and the fact that it's going to be in New York City. I mean, you had Ali Frazier, you had Trinidad Hopkins, you had so many other different world-class great athletes perform in that building. And I'm just looking forward to being there and having such a masterful performance because this is one of those things where if you know boxing, you know what he brings to the table, you know what I bring to the table, you know this is a can't miss fight. This is probably one of the best fights that's going to be this year.
What would you like to face off
We
with?
need to get Danny up there.
It was intense. It was in his face. I was just kidding. It was cool though.